Wow, you gotta love sports. That was an all-time great buzzer beater by my guy Jason Tatum. Are you kidding me? As the Celtics beat the Nets in a Game 1 classic. I loved how Ime Udoka didn't call a timeout. Boston, so smart, so well coached. Not calling a timeout put the pressure on a bad Nets defensive team. Jaylen Brown dribbles in, kicks to Marcus Smart. Tatum, that beautiful cut to the hoop. The spin, the layup to just, and I mean just, beat the buzzer. And look, this shot was an all-timer. This game was an all-timer. This series is going to be an all-timer. Honestly, watching it live, I didn't think they were going to have enough time. When I say an all-timer, there's a lot to consider here. Think about this. When was the last time you saw a layup at the buzzer to win? Not a three-pointer, not a jump shot, a layup. The Celtics and the Nets entered as the marquee first-round matchup. I made the case last week. Best first-round matchup ever, considering both teams, objectively, could win a championship this year. And Brooklyn, the 7 seed, has 2 first-ballot Hall of Famers. Boston entered as the hottest team in basketball, took a huge third-quarter lead. I thought it was over. Boston, at the end of the day, blew it. Brooklyn roared back with KD on the bench. But to the Celtics' credit, Boston took a punch. And those defensive stands at the end, oh, baby, vintage Celtics. The smothering defense at the end to set up Tatum's shot was superb. I mean, look at this. You saw that Kyrie had nowhere to go. Heave out to Kevin Durant, who took a terrible low percentage shot. That's not anti-Brooklyn. That's pro-Boston. Celtic stars came to play. The depth and talent was on display. It was beautiful. And every moment in a ball game like this matters. Brooklyn started the ball game awful and sloppy and looked like a team that hadn't played together all year. Because, you know, there you have it. How about KD and Kyrie? 1 for 8 in the first quarter. Kevin Durant was turning it over way too much. The Nets had 16 turnovers in the game. More than half of those came from KD and Kyrie. This series is far from over. Durant, who by his own elite standard did not play well in Game 1, he's due to dominate Game 2. But, as you know, I picked the Celtics in 7, due in part to their chemistry and their talent and their coaching. That was all on display in a classic. Watching the under-pressure Chris Paul put on a fourth-quarter display was simply superb. 19 points in the final quarter to seal the deal. The Pelicans dared him to shoot, and he kept making it. And the Suns, in a related story, left very little doubts, in my opinion. They are, without question, the best team in the NBA. Now, there will be challenges, obviously. The NBA is great and more wide open than it's been in a long time. But Phoenix has been the best team in the NBA all year long. And on a great first weekend in the playoffs, it was a reminder once again, they are the team to beat. They have a true big three. They have unreal role players. They are supremely coached. And if Chris Paul is actually playing his best when it matters the most, last night, step 1 towards winning the Larry O'Brien Trophy.
Just hit the ground running, using, losing the Super Bowl and just getting injured as fuel to better myself as a player and also just a person in general. So, but Cal came to me in the middle of the season, was like, hey, Debo, I feel like, you can help this team and being a running back a little bit. And so that's just what happened, and I just hit the ground running.
That, of course, Debo Samuel from Time to Shine in L.A. on Radio Row a few months ago. And right there, he's raving about Kyle Shanahan. And you know he believes it. But I understand in Debo's mind, in the final year of his contract, it's time to get paid. In a related story, our good friend, the great Adam Schefter, broke the story this morning that Debo Samuel, Terry McLaurin, and A.J. Brown are all staying away from current voluntary offseason workouts. They're all drafted on day 2 of the 2019 draft. All excellent wide receivers, all in the final year of their contract, all rightly want to get paid. And it's a big story because it's real. And it's a big story because these are big names. And because wide receiver contracts are out of control. And I want to stress this, if Tyreek Hill demands to leave Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and does so in order to get paid, teams need to take every threat at the receiver position seriously. But let me give you a prediction on these three guys on the screen. None of them get traded. None of them get traded. And look, obviously there's an element to Kyle creating Debo, but he's been created, and he's a freak. And the Niners, at the end of the day, should be thinking about the Super Bowl. They need Debo Samuel with Trey Lance. Terry McLaurin is a fantastic receiver, a great guy and a great leader. And the Washington franchise has been an abject failure and an embarrassment since he's been there. The quarterback play has been terrible too. You pay McLaurin for all the right reasons on and off the field. And remember, the Titans were the 1 seed last year, and Tennessee is thinking Super Bowl, and there's a window here. The AFC is loaded, so you have to pay A.J. Brown. I'm guessing the smart brass in Tennessee knows it. And it's important to stress, these guys have just gotten started. They haven't even reached their peak yet, just 3 years into their NFL career. Now, with that all said, if I'm the Chiefs or the Packers or the Jets or the Eagles or the Patriots, I'm doing everything in my power to bring one of these guys in. I'm making a Godfather offer that cannot be refused. But I think the 2019 Day 2 receiver most likely to be dealt in the final year of his contract, DK Metcalf. Seattle, of course, should trade him. They're not close to being a good or great team. They need picks, they need bodies. They need a quarterback of the future. For Debo and Brown and McLaurin, I'd pay. And I would never in a million years for their respective clubs would I trade them. For Metcalf, I would absolutely trade if I'm Seattle before I pay. I wouldn't even consider giving him a contract extension. Trade him for draft picks. Let's see which team is smart enough to get him, or smart enough to make one of those other teams make a move away from their original plan. Whoa. Welcome back, time to Schein. I got a lot of stuff to get off my chest on a Monday. What a soundbite from Kyrie Irving. Look, he loves being the villain, and it's not often I say this, considering everything that's happened with Kyrie through the years. Earth was flat, getting out of Cleveland, going out of Boston, being focused on anything other than basketball in Brooklyn, his stance on the vaccine. I am on Team Kyrie here on everything that happened in Boston. I can appreciate and applaud the double bird. Seriously. I can appreciate and applaud what he said after the game. I can appreciate the mocking with the crying, because just because you have a ticket to a sporting event, that doesn't give you a license to be below the belt. And I can't even say, well, Kyrie needs to focus. That's always the issue with Kyrie, right? Focus on basketball. Well, he was locked in, laser focused, and as he said post-game when our friend Nick Friedel from ESPN asked him the series of questions that sparked that answer, look, Kyrie had 39 points, 18 in the fourth quarter. He was vintage Kyrie. This was a sensational performance. So it's not like this was a distraction. I mean, there are times, right, when an athlete will do something to a fan. Think Jack McDowell flipping off Yankees fans, in 1994. That was over the top, right? They did that for no reason. If you're going to be a fan and be below the belt, then yeah, Kyrie Irving's going to play that up, and he loves and thrives as a basketball player when it comes to being the villain. So it's not often I say this when it comes to Kyrie and antics, but I support Kyrie Irving completely. I hope the NBA doesn't fine him or discipline him. If anything, they should investigate what was being said in Boston. And look, if I'm a Celtics fan, make no mistake, right? And I want to make sure that this comes across, I would despise Kyrie. Forced his way out of Cleveland, goes to Boston, supposed to be the savior. They traded Isaiah Thomas, who was a supremely popular, overachieving ball player. And, he did that commercial, I want my jersey hanging from the rafters, and he got out of town. He was horrendous. He was a negative in Boston. So I would always get on Kyrie and loathe Kyrie. But you know what? Being disrespectful and saying things that are just over the top, I don't tolerate that. And Kyrie Irving, it motivates him. I support Kyrie Irving in-game, and I support him post-game as well. Got to get this off my chest. What an embarrassing, awful, disgusting, wretched performance from my New York Yankees this weekend against the lowly, hapless, pathetic Baltimore Orioles. They lost 2 or 3 to the Orioles. 2 or 3 to the Orioles. That's illegal in most states, including Maryland and New York. Like, really? You can get a ticket. That's a violation. The Yankees' slugging percentage as a team, lowest it's been in the first 10 games of a season since 1991, when Stump Merrill was the manager. I mean, nice job, Aaron. But I want to stress this again. It's the Orioles. The way you make the playoffs in baseball to beat the bad teams, the Orioles stink. The Yankees wasted another gem from Nasty Nestor yesterday. And, you know, Aaron Boone has got to just pick a lineup. I mean, why was Anthony Rizzo not playing? I don't want to hear day game after a night game. You have 4 teams in that division. Yankees, Blue Jays, Red Sox, Rays, all rightly thinking playoffs and beyonds. I mean, you have to beat Baltimore. Honestly, I wanted a sweep. Based upon the pitching matchups, the lineups, I wanted a sweep. Losing 2 out of 3, garbage, unacceptable. Yankees need to hit. There's no excuse facing has-beens, never will be's, tomato cans. That was a wretched performance. Unacceptable hot garbage by the New York Yankees. Needs to change. Needs to change. How about a new manager, by the way? Got to get this off my chest on a Monday. What a gutsy, heart of a champion performance from the Bucks in Game 1. Now, that game was much more competitive, went down to the very end against Chicago than I ever thought. Heck, when Iron Eagle and Grant Hill went to commercial at 9-0, I said to myself, hey, maybe the Bucks are going to shut Chicago out. But I'm not going to sit here and knock Milwaukee for how close it was. Obviously, Middleton was terrible. Holiday was terrible. But listen, the defense saved the day. Giannis saved the day. You know what that was? That was the heart of a champion. I can do nothing here but stress the positive when it comes to Milwaukee. I got to get this off my chest. Baker Mayfield makes sense for the Carolina Panthers. A lot of rumors, a lot of reports. Mary Kay Cabot, our good friend over at the Cleveland Plain Dealer, says Carolina is hot and heavy for him, and there could be a match. Ian Rappaport, NFL Network, all over that. But if I'm Carolina, I wouldn't touch Baker Mayfield, as opposed to Kenny Pickett. If I had a chance to get Kenny Pickett, that's what I would do. I mean, here's the problem with Baker Mayfield. He stinks. He's a terrible quarterback. You watch him over the last couple of years, he's dreadful. And, you know, how about Robbie Anderson? He's on the old Instagram, and, you know, there was a link to the report of Mayfield and Carolina, and he just wrote, no! And this is Robbie Anderson, who's played with Sam Darnold and Cam Newton. I think that at the end of the day, Kenny Pickett, remember, he was originally committed to Matt Rule and Temple, and then decommitted after Rule decided to leave Temple, go to Baylor. Applicable because obviously Rule is now the coach of the Carolina Panthers. Listen, I am not a Baker Mayfield fan at all. That's been well documented. But I do acknowledge there are 2 teams in the NFL that he can start for, Seattle and the Carolina Panthers. I'm in favor of it, by the way. It gives the owner a little buzz. Shows like ours would talk about the Panthers more because they would have the polarizing Baker Mayfield. He's an upgrade over Darnold, over Newton, P.J. Walker. But given the choice, I'm taking Kenny Pickett with that 6th overall pick.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And don't forget to hit the bell for more videos.